morning. morning. Maybe I'll give you a view of the oven today. See how this works. Oh, my camera might get too hot over here though. I don't think this is gonna work over here. Maybe over here. Oh, that's not very good. I guess that's not going to work today. Oh well. I need a heat-proof camera. I've tried putting my camera closer to the oven, but it always gets too hot and it shuts off when it gets too hot. Hello. Clean oven, yes. I like to have a clean oven. I'm about to fill it full of seeds and bagels though. Seeds and bagels. Well, let's do our first batch. We'll do a sesame seed. There's our sesame seed. Hamlin towns in Brunswick, my famous Hanover city. The River Weser, deep and wide, washes its wall on the southern side. A pleasanter spot you've never spied. But when begins my ditty, almost 500 years ago, to see the townsfolk suffer so, from vermin was a pity. Rats, they fought the dogs and killed the cats, and bit the babies in the cradles, and ate the cheeses from the vats, and licked the soup from the cook's own ladles, split open the kegs of salted sprats, made nests in the men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chats by drowning out their speaking with shrieking and squeaking in 50 different sharps and flats. At last the people in a body to the town hall came flocking. "'Tis clear," cried they, "our mayor is a naughty, and as for our corporation, shocking to think we buy gowns lined with ermine for dolts who can't or won't determine what's best to rid us of our vermin. You hope because you're old and obese to find in the furry civic robes ease. Rouse up, sirs, give your brains a racking, find remedy we are lacking, or sure as fate we'll send you packing." At this the mayor and corporation quaked with mighty consternation. An hour they sat in council. At length the mayor broke silence, for a gilder eyed my ermine gown cell. "I wish I were a mile hence. It's easy to bid one rack one's brain. I'm sure my poor head aches again. I scratch it so, but all in vain. Oh, for a trap, a trap, a trap." Gypsy said this what should hap. At the chamber door but a gentle tap. "Bless us," cried the mayor, "what's that?" With the corporation as he sat, looking little through wonders fat, nor brighter were his eyes, nor moister than a too long opened oyster, save what at noon is paunched or muteness, for plain turtle green and glutinous. only a scraping of shoes on a mat. Anything like the sound of a rat makes my heart go pit-a-pat. "Come in," cried the mayor, looking bigger, and in did come the strangest figure. His long queer coat from heel to head was half yellow and half red, and he himself is tall and thin, with sharp blue eyes each like a pin, and light loose hair and swarthy skin, nor tuft of hair on cheek nor beard on chin, but lips where smile went out and in. There was no guessing his kith or kin, and nobody could enough admire this tall man in his quaint attire. Quoth one, "It's as my great-grandsire, starting up at the trump of doom's tone, had walked this way from his painted tombstone." He advanced towards the council table, and "Please, your honour," said he, "I am able, by means of secret charm to draw, all the creatures living beneath the sun, that crawl or swim or fly or run, after me so as you never saw. And I chiefly use my charm on creatures that do people harm, the mole and toad and newt and viper, and people call me the Pied Piper." And here they noticed round his neck a scarf of red and yellow stripe, to match with his coat of self-same check. And that scarf's end hung a pipe, and his fingers they noticed were ever straying, as if impatient to be playing upon this pipe, as low it dangled over his vesture so old-fangled. "Yes," said he, "Pied Piper as I am, in part hearty I bred the can. Last June from the huge swarms of gnats, I eased in Asia the Nigam, the monstrous brood of vampire bats. And as to what your brain bewilders, if I rid your town of rats, will you give me 1,000 guilders?" 50,000 was the exclamation, an astonished mayor and corporation. Into the street the piper stepped, smiling first a little smile, as if he knew what magic slept in his quiet pipe the while. Like a musical adept to blow his pipe, his lips he wrinkled, and green and blue his sharp eyes twinkled, like a candle flame where salt is sprinkled. And ere 3 shrill notes the pipe uttered, you heard as if an army muttered, and a muttering grew to a grumbling, and a grumbling grew to a mighty rumbling, and out of the houses came the rats tumbling, great rats, small rats, lean rats, brawny rats, brown rats, black rats, grey rats, tawny rats, grave old plotters, gay young friskers, fathers, mothers, uncles, cousins, cocking tails and pricking whiskers, families by tens and dozens, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, followed the Pied Piper for their lives. From street to street he piped advancing, and step for step they followed dancing, until they came to the river Weser, wherein all plunged and perished, save one who stout Julius Caesar swam across and lived to carry, as he the manuscript he cherished, to Ratland Home's commentary, which was, at first shrill notes of the pipe, I heard a sound as a scraping tripe, and putting apples wondrous ripe into the cider presses gripe, and moving away a pickle tub boards, and leaving a jar of conserve cupboards, and drawing the corks of train oil flasks, and breaking hoops of butter casks, and it seemed as if a voice sweeter far than by harp or by Solomon's plea called out, "Oh, rats, rejoice! The world is growing to vast dry sultry. So munch on, crunch on, take your nunch on, breakfast, supper, dinner, lunch on, and just a bulky sugar punch on, already staved like a great sun shone. Grazing scarce an inch before me, just me thought it said come bore me, I found the Weser rolling over me. You should have heard the Hamlin people ring the bells so they rock the steeple. Go, cried the mayor, get long poles, poke out the nests and block up the holes, consult with carpenters and builders, and leave in our town not even a trace of the rats, when suddenly up the face the piper perked in the marketplace. The first, if you please, my 1,000 guilders. 1,000 guilders. The mayor looked blue, so did the corporation too, for council dinners made rare havoc, with claret, moselle, vin de gras, pop, and half the money would replenish their cellar's biggest butt of Rhenish, to pay this sum to a wondering fellow, with gypsy coat of red and yellow. Besides, quoth the mayor with a knowing wink, our business was done at the river's brink. We saw with our eyes the vermin sink, and what's dead can't come to life, I think. So, friend, we're not folks to shrink from our duty of giving you something to drink, and a matter of money to push in your coat. But as for the guilders, what we spoke of them, as you well know, wasn't joke. Besides, our losses have made us thrifty. 1,000 guilders, come, take 50. The piper's face fell and he cried, no trifling, I can't wait beside. I promised a visit by dinner time, Baghdad, and accept the prime of the head cook's pottage, all he's rich in, for having left in the Caleb's kitchen, of a nest of scorpions, no survivor. With him I proved no bargain driver, with you don't think I'll bait a stiver, and folks who put me in a passion, may find me pipe after another fashion. How, cried the mayor, you think I brook, being worse treated than a cook, insulted by a rival, with idle pipe and vesture piebald. Threaten us, fellow, do your worst, blow your pipe there till you burst. Once more he stepped into the street, and to his lips again laid his long pipe with smooth straight cane, and ere he blew 3 notes, such sweet soft notes as yet musicians cunning never gave the enraptured air. There was a rustling that seemed like a bustling of merry crowds justling at pitching and hustling. Small feet were pattering, wooden shoes clattering, little hands clapping, little tongues chattering, and like foals in the farmyard with barley a scattering, out came the children running, all the little boys and girls, with rosy cheeks and flaxen curls, and sparkling eyes and teeth like pearls, tripping and skipping ran merrily after, and wonderful music was shouting and laughter. The mayor was dumb, and the council stood as if they're changed in the blocks of wood, unable to move a step or cry, to the children merrily skipping by, could only follow with an eye that joyous crowd at the piper's back, and how the mayor was on the rack, and the wretched council's bosoms beat, as the pipe returned from the high street, where the westward rolled its waters, right in the way of their sons and daughters. Howard returned from south to west, and to Pulpberg Hill a step to dress, and after him the children pressed, great was the joy in every breast. He never crossed the mighty top, he's forced to let the piping drop, and we shall see our children stop. When lo, they reached the mountainside, a wondrous portal opened wide, as if a cavern was suddenly hollowed. The piper advanced and the children followed, and when all were into the very last, the door in the mountainside shut fast. Did I say all? No, one was lame, and could not dance to hold the way. And in after years, a few blamed his sadness, and used to say, "It's dull in our towns with my playmates left. I can't forget that mine were wrecked, of all the pleasant sights they see, which the piper also promised me. Before he led, he said to a joyous land, joining the town in jest at hand, where waters gushed and fruit trees grew, and flowers before the fairer hue, and everything was strange and new. The sparrow was brighter than the peacock here, and their dogs outran our fellow deer, and honeybees had lost their stings, and horses were born with eagle's wings. And just as I became assured, my lame foot received me cured. The music stopped, and I stood still, and found myself outside the hill, left behind against my will, to go now limping as before, and never hear of that country more. Alas, alas for Hamelin, there came into many a burgher's pate a text which says that heaven's gate opes the rich at his easy rate, as a needle's eye takes a camel in. The mayor was sent east, west, north, and south to offer the piper by word of mouth, wherever was men's lot to find him, silver and gold to his heart's content, if only he'd return the way he went, and bring the children behind him. But when they saw 'twas lost endeavor, and piper and dancers were gone forever, they made a decree that lawyers never should think their records dated duly, if after the day of the month and year these words do not well appear. If after alas, alas for Hamelin, there came to many a burgher's pate a text which says that heaven's gate opes the rich at his easy rate, as the needle's eye takes a camel in. The mayor said east, west, north, and south, to offer the piper by word of mouth, wherever it was men's lot to find him, silver and gold to his heart's content, if only he'd return the way he went, and bring the children behind him. But when they saw 'twas lost endeavor, and piper and dancers were gone forever, they made a decree that lawyers never should think their records dated duly, if after the day of the month and year these words do not as well appear. And so long after what happened here, on the 22nd of July, 1376, the better in memory to fix the place of the children's last retreat, they called it the Pied Piper Street, where anyone playing pipe or tabor, the short of his future lose his labor, nor suffered they hostelry or tavern, shocked with word the streets so solemn, and opposite the place of the cavern, they wrote the story on a column, and on great church window painted, the same to make the world acquainted, how their children were stolen away, and there it stands this very day. And I must not admit to say, in Transylvania there is a tribe of alien people who ascribe the way and dress of which their neighbors lay such stress to their fathers and mothers having risen out of some subterranean prison into which they were japanned a long time ago in a mighty band out of Hamelin towns in Brunswick land, but how or why they don't understand. So, Lily, let me and you be wipers of scores out with all men, especially pipers. And if they should pipe us free from rats, from mice, if we promise them aught, let us keep our promise. Howdy, neighbor. Sorry I missed you. I find it hard to read and recite at the same time, so I don't really respond to comments. while I'm reciting poetry. I should get better at it though. Maybe I should practice it. I'll talk. Somebody said they're my neighbor, apparently. I'm assuming country by country. Not literal neighbor. Metaphorical neighbor. Hola, amigos. That's going on the blooper reel. Oh God. Blooper. What a word. Who came up with blooper? It's quite the blooper. My first thought was he lied in every word, that hoary cripple with malicious eye, askance to watch the working of his lie on mine, and mouth scarce able to afford suppression of the glee that pursed and scored its edge at one more victim gained thereby. What else should he be set for with his staff? What save to waylay with his lies and snare? All travelers might find him posted there, and ask the road. I guess what skull-like laugh would break, what crutch can write my epitaph for pastime in the dusty thoroughfare. If at his counsel I should turn aside into ominous track which all agree hides the dark tower, yet acquiescingly I did turn as he pointed, neither pride nor hope rekindling at the end described, so much as gladness some end might be. For what with my whole world wide wondering, what with my search drawn out through years, my hope dwindled into a ghost not fit to cope with that obstreperous joy success would bring. I hardly tried now to rebuke the spring my heart made, finding failure in its scope. As a sick man very near to death seems dead indeed, and feels begin and end the tears, and takes the farewell of each friend, and hears one bid the other go, draw breath, freely you're outside, since all is over, he saith, and the blow fallen no grieving can amend. While some discuss if near other graves be room enough for this, and when a day suits best for carrying the corpse away, with care about banners, scarfs, and staves, and still the man hears all and only craves, he may not shame such a love and stay. Thus I had for so long suffered in this quest, heard failure prophesied so oft be writ, so many times among the band to wit, the knights who to dark towers searches rest their steps, the gist to fail as they knew best, and all doubt was now should I be fit. So quiet as despair I turned from him, that hateful cripple, out of his highway into the path he pointed. All the day had been a dreary one at best. The dim was settling into his clothes. Yet not no grim red beard to see the plain catch of the spray. For mark, no sooner was I fairly found, pledged to the plain after a pace or two, to pausing throw back the last view. Oh, the safe road was gone. Great plain all round, nothing but plain the horizon's bound. I must go on, naught else remained to do. So on I went. I think I never saw such starved ignoble nature. Nothing throve, for flowers as well expect a cedar grove. But chortle and spurge according to their law might propagate their kind with none to awe. You'd think a burr had been a treasure trove. No penry inertness and grimace, in some strange sort were the land's portion. See or close your eyes, said nature peevishly. It nothing skills, I can't help my case. 'Tis last judgment's fire must cure this place. Calcine as clods and set my prisoners free. If there pushed any ragged thistle stalk above its mates, its head was chopped. The bents were jealous else. What made the holes and rents in the dock's harsh forest leaves? Bruised as to balk all hope of greenness. 'Tis a brute must walk, passion their life out with a brute's intents. As for the grass, it grew as scarce as hair and leprosy. Thin, dry blades pricked the mud, which underneath was beating up with blood. One stiff, blind horse, as every bone stared, stood stupefied however he came there, thrust out past service from the devil's stud. Alive, he might be dead for aught I know, with the red gaunt and callous neck astrain, and shut eyes beneath the rusty mane. Seldom went such grotesqueness with such woe. I never saw a brute I hated so. He must have been wicked to deserve such pain. I shut my eyes and turned them on my heart, as a man calls for wine before he fights. I asked one draught of earlier, happier sights, ere fitly I could hope to play the part. Think first, fight afterwards, a soldier's art. One taste of old time sets all to rights. Not it. I fancied Cuthbert's reddening face beneath its garniture of curly gold. Dear fellow, till I almost felt him fold. An arm in mine fixed me to that place. That way he used, alas, one night's disgrace. Out at my heart's new fire and left it cold. Giles then, the soul of honor, there he stands, frank as 10 years ago, a knight at first. An honest man should dare, he said he durst. Good, but the scene sifts. Thought what hangman's hand pinned to his breast of parchment. His own band reads it, poor traitors spit upon and cursed. Better this present than pass like that, back therefore to my darkening path. No sound of sight as the eye can strain. Will the night send a howl in our bad, I asked, when something on the dismal flat came to arrest my thoughts and change their train. A sudden river crossed my path, as unexpected as a serpent came. No tides congenial to the gloom. This as it frothed by, it might have been a bath, the fiend's glowing hoof, to see the wrath that black beneath me spat with plates and spoons. So petty yet so spiteful, all along low scrubby alders kneeled over, drenched willows flung them headlong in a fit to rout despair, a suicidal throng. Yet the river which had done them all the wrong, whatever that was, rolled by, deterred no whit. Which while I forded, good saints, how I feared to set my foot upon a dead man's cheek, each step or feel the spear I thrust to seek, for hollows tangled in his hair or beard. It may have been a water rat I speared, but it sounded like a baby's shriek. Glad was I to reach the other bank, now for a better country, vain presage. Who are the strugglers? What war did they wage? Whose savage trample could thus path the dank soil to a plash, toads in a poisoned tank, or wild cats in a red-hot cage? The fight was so seemed in that foul, sir. What penned them there was all plain to choose. No footsteps leading to that horrid muse. None out of it. Mad druids set to work their brains, no doubt, like galley slaves the Turk pits for his pastime Christians against the Jews. As far as more than that, a furlong on, why there, what bad use was that engine for, that wheel, or brake not wheel, that harrow fit to reel men's bodies out like silk, with all the air of Tophet's tool, on earth left unaware, or brought to sharpen its rusty teeth of steel. Then came some stub ground, once a wood, next a marsh it would seem, now mere earth, desperate and done with, so the fool finds mirth, makes a thing and mars it, till his mood changes, and off he goes, within a rude bog, clay and marsh, sand and stark black dirt. Now blotches rankling colored gain and grim, now patches where some leanness of the soils broke into moss or substances like boils. Then came a palsied oak, a cleft in him, a distorted mouth that splits its rim, gaping at death and dies while it coils. As far as ever from the end, not in the distance but the evening not, point my footsteps further at the thought. Great black bird, Apollyon's bosom's friend, sailed past to beat its wide wings, dragging my hand, that brushed my cap, perchance the god I saw. For looking up aware I somehow grew, to plain and given place all round the mountains with such names to grace, mere heights and heaps now stolen in view. How thus they surprised me seldom view, how to get from there was a clearer case. Yet half myself seemed to recognize some trick of mischief had happened to me. God knows when, in a bad dream perhaps, here ended then progress this way, when in the very nick of giving up one more time came a click, as when the trap shuts you're in the den. Burningly it came upon me all at once. This was the place. Those two hills to the right crouched like two bulls locked horn and fight, while to the left a tall scalp mountain, dunce daughter to dozing at the very nunce after a lifetime of training for the sight. One in the midst lay but the tower itself, the round squat turret built of brown stone without a counterpart. The whole world, the tempest mocking out, points to the shipman thus the unseen shelf he strikes on only when timbers strike. Only when timbers start. Not sea, because of night perhaps, why day came back to that. Behind it left the dying sunset, kindled through a cleft. The hills like two giants in the hunting lay, chin upon hand to see the game at bay, now stab and end the creature to the haft. Not here, when noise was everywhere it told, increasing like a bell, names in my ears, of lost adventurers, my peers, how such was strong, and such was bold, and such was fortunate, yet each of old, lost, one moment now the woe of years. There they stood, ranged along the hillside, met to view the last of me. For one more picture in a sheet of flame, I saw them and knew them all, and yet, dauntless, a slughorn to my lips I set and blew, child roll into a dark tower came. That wasn't a perfect rendition of that poem. That was Child Roll Into a Dark Tower Came by Rob Browning. Obviously, I'm sure most of you people already know. That's what I'm doing. I'm a Robert Browning expert. Ode to the Bagel Baker. Thank you. Sorry I missed your comments. I find it hard to read and recite poetry at the same time, so it always throws me off. Always. Almost always. Yes, we are making Montreal-style bagels this morning. This morning we're making bagels. This morning. What the hell? No, bagels. Montreal style bagels. I don't know who in their right mind would be up this early making pizza. Who eats pizza for breakfast? Maybe the Italians do, I don't know. I would eat pizza for breakfast. I guess a lot of people, I'm sure there's lots of people who eat pizza for breakfast. Whatever. But it's usually leftover pizza. It's not like hot pizza. Now I'm making bagels. It is, it's currently 5:30 here in Vancouver. Hello, Slew. Sorry, I don't speak French. It's sad. I'm Canadian, but I don't speak French. I grew up in rural Alberta, And there's in fact no rural Alberta advantage, despite the name of the band. I think they're being ironic when it comes to that name. Because in fact there is no rural Alberta advantage that I can discern. We're making bagels the French-Canadian way today. French-Canadian way. The best way. Best way to make bagels. Those Quebecois were onto something when they invented this technique. I don't know if they invented this technique. It probably originated in Europe somewhere. I'd like to embark on a thorough history of the bagels. Maybe like do a world tour. Yeah, go Habs. I don't watch very much hockey. I know that's not a very Canadian thing to say, but I don't really have a favorite team. I guess the Canucks, whatever. I don't know if they're doing good though. So I usually root for teams that are doing good. So that's how I play that game. I was happy when Ovechkin won the cup this year. That was pretty sweet. I like the Capitals. That's a good team. If I watched hockey, I would follow the Capitals, I think. I'm not very loyal to my geographical area, I guess. I'm more of an internationalist. Internationalism. One day God said, "This is what I'll do. I'll send down my son. I'll send him down to you to clear up this humpity bumpity hullabaloo. His name will be Christ, and he'll never wear shoes. And his friends will call him the King of the Jews." He didn't come in a plane. He didn't come in a jeep. He didn't come in the pouch of a high-jumping Bo Peep. He rode on the back of a black Saskatoon, the blackiest creature you ever could view. He rode into Jerusalem, home of the grumpy Jews, where false prophets were worshipped, some even in twos. There's Murray Von... I forgot his name, what? Murray Von... Oh, what the hell? one you could worship taking a snooze. Christ spoke from a mound which is piled of ground. People gathered around without making a sound. Thus he spake, sin and socks full of sin. How shall we quiet this Jehovah din? Do unto others as others do unto you. That includes you, Timothy, too. And one Pharisee said to another he knew, what shall we do about this uppity Jew? Wash him in wine and make him all clean, and then Sam Biddle's crucifixion machine. And instead he said as he bled, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do, because they walk through this world wearing two crappity shoes. I forgot the prophet's name. What? Oh, Murray von Murr and Genghis Vauvouz. What the hell? Why did I... My mind went blank on that. Serena Williams won 24 Grand Chelem. What? Serena Williams. Hello, welcome. I've lived long enough, having seen one thing, that love hath an end. Goddess and maiden and queen, be near me now and befriend. Thou art more than the day or the morrow, the seasons that laugh or that weep. For these give joy and sorrow, but Proserpina sleep. But thou Proserpina sleep. But thou Proserpina sleep. But thou Proserpina sleep. Sweet is the treading of wine, and sweet the feet of the doves. But a goodlier gift is thine than foam of the grapes or love. He is not even Apollo, with his hair and harp strings of gold, a bitter god to follow, a beautiful god to behold. I am sick of singing. The bays burn deep and chafe. I am fain to rest a little from praise and grievous pleasure and pain. For the gods we know not of, who give us our daily breath, we know that they are cruel as love and life, and lovely as death. O gods dethroned and deceased, cast forth, wiped out in a day, from your wrath is the world released, redeemed from your chains, men say. New gods, new gods, new gods are crowned in the city. New gods are crowned in the city. Flowers Love of mine, someday you will die. I'll be close behind, follow you into the dark. No blinding light, a tunnel's the gates are wide. Our hands clasped so tight, waiting for the hint of a spark. Heaven and hell aside, they both are satisfied. Illuminate the gnomes on their vacancy signs. There's no one beside you, but your soul is Mars. I'll follow you into the dark. Catholic school, vicious as Roman rules. I got my knuckles bruised. The lady in black told me, held my tongue, told me, son, here's the heart of love. Don't ever look back. There's no one beside you when your soul embarks. I'll follow you into the dark. You and me seen everything to see. Bangkok to Calgary. Souls on our shoes are rolling down. Find the crowd wall. The whole child I'll sing. The darkest of rooms. Heaven and hell side, they both are satisfied. Illuminate the nose on their vacancy signs. There's no one beside you when your soul unbars. I'll follow you into the dark. I'll follow you into the dark. You shouldn't take that song literally. Don't actually follow somebody into the dark. It might frighten them a little bit. And maybe you might want to follow them into the dark once you've got permission to do so. Scene from The Last Boy Scout with Bruce Willis and Dave. I bought you some ice cream. I'm not talking to you. Gee, that's a shame. You always had such pleasant things to say. I don't care, you're an asshole. That's for saying asshole. You know I hate wasting food. You want it, you got it. Yes, sir, asshole. You're grounded for a week. That's... Yes, sir, asshole. Thank you, asshole. That's two. Do you want to please? Sorry. I forgot there was a bunch of swearing in it. Swearing? Oh my god. This is a family show. This is a family show. But it was not made for families. through some things together, with trunks of memories still to come. We found things to do in stormy weather. Long may you run, long may you run, long may you run, although these difficulties may come. Long may you run, long may you run, although these changes have come. With your chrome heart shining in the sun, long may you run. Don't miss that ship, long be kind, long may we run. With your chrome heart shining in the sun, long may you all run. Come out, holy, restless man, oxen man, was not first like to be to radio. Come out, holy, restless girl, getting her hairdo was making me feel ill. This is what you get. This is what you get when you mess with us. So I'm not much of a singer, especially a cappella. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you were only waiting on your eyes. Blackbird in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see. I guess I should take these.